Hello, my loves, and welcome to day 3 of the 5 days to kick anxiety's ass challenge. I'm so excited for day 3. I've been excited for every single day, but day 3 is huge. Day 3 is a turning point. Day 3 is going deeper. And while it's not the easiest thing to do, it's the thing that creates real lasting change. It's the thing that helps you to reel in the emotions, look at them objectively, and understand that you can get through anything. So, as you go through this process on your own in the future, whether it's after today, whether it's later in the week, whether it's a month from now, this is all about learning how to trust yourself and all about really trusting yourself to go deep, to pull yourself out, to know that it's all going to be okay, to look at old nasty shit that maybe you don't want to look at. And the level of self-trust, confidence, self-love that comes with those things, those actions, is completely unmatched. I will say that when I started going deep and doing shadow work, which is what we're going to talk about later, today is all about deep emotional behaviors, traumas, all of the deep emotional stuff that anxiety is the invisibility cloak for. So if you've ever seen Harry Potter, like, anxiety is the invisibility cloak, and then the deep emotional trauma or fear or just deep emotional, like, shit that's been there forever, unprocessed emotions, all that kind of stuff is what's hiding behind it. And so when you weed out the things from day 1 and day 2, the physical things, the habitual, the circumstantial, when you weed those things out and you still experience anxiety, you'll see that that's what's left, right? So I want you to take a deep breath with me. We're going to breathe. Today's going to be informational. Today's going to be me giving you the tools to do what you need to do when anxiety comes up, but I also want to bring you through a little exercise together. And so today could bring up some things. If you're not feeling up to that, use your judgment and skip that part. But before we even go into today, I really want to set the energy. I really want to set the mood. And I want you to just breathe with me, because if you've been on this journey, it's day 3, you're likely thinking about anxiety a lot more than you usually do. So you're usually experiencing anxiety, but right now you're thinking about your experience. You're thinking about all the things I've taught you over the past 2 days. You're thinking about how it resonates in your life, and you're thinking about what it means and old experiences of anxiety. And so there's a lot of anxiety thoughts swirling around in your head, and it's good because we're trying to untangle all of this right now, right? But it's also, I think at this point, you're definitely going to need some grounding. So I want to do some breathing with you. So I want you to just take a few minutes. We're going to take a few minutes together. I want you to close your eyes. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Just get centered and grounded where you are. Listen to my voice. Maybe you put your hand, one hand or two, on your heart. Deep breath in, hold it at the top, and let it go through the mouth. We're going to take 3 more of these. Deep breath in through the nose. Hold it and let it go. Deep breath in through the nose. Hold it at the top and let it go. Last one, make it a good one. Deep breath in through the nose. Hold it at the top. Take one more sip. And sigh it out. Let it go. You can open your eyes when you're ready. I hope that that helped just regulate you a little bit, regulate your energy, bring you to this moment, ground you, and get you ready for day 3. So I'm just going to make a quick note because something just popped into my head as always. Okay. So day 3. Day 3, we're talking about deep emotional shit, right? And so what we're going to do through this is we're going to learn how to bring this up in a really healthy way. Bring up your deep emotional shit in a healthy way. And I kind of gave this deep disclaimer in day 1, but I want you to know that everybody has different traumas, everybody has different experiences, everybody has different things going on. So if you're not feeling up to this, that's okay. Like, I don't want you to feel pressured to go deep into something that maybe you're not ready to go deep into. So you really have to use your discernment on that. You have to give yourself consent and give me consent to go there with you. And that's how we're going to make sure that this is done in a healthy way. So I just want to talk a little bit about our brains. So I talked about this on yesterday with the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. But what I want to talk about is evidence and neural pathways, because this is going to lead into the bigger topic for today. So evidence and neural pathways, they're two different things for our brain. But what happens with the evidence piece of it is that our brain is always looking for evidence that what we think is true. Our brain always wants to prove to us that we're right? So your brain, so say you have a thought in your head, like, I have anxiety, right? Or you say my anxiety all the time, which I told you to cut that shit out right from the beginning. Stop claiming it as your own. That little shift in words of not saying my anxiety anymore, just say I'm experiencing anxiety. It will change your belief without you even knowing it in your brain to say that it's not yours, you're just experiencing it. And you're going to be so surprised at actually how important that piece is, that just little shift to stop saying my anxiety. It will make a world of difference in the long run. So when you say my anxiety, your brain looks for evidence for why the anxiety is yours, right? So it's going to look and pull up through the files all the different times you've had a panic attack, all the different times the anxiety has held you back from things, all the different times you've started crying because you're feeling so overwhelmed with anxiety. And then that evidence affirms to you that this is true. Does that make sense? And so this is where we can reframe these things by changing our language. And I hope that over the first day and the second day, you started to really observe your language and continue to do it this week. I really want you to start to get into the habit of observing how you interact with anxiety, how you communicate it. What do you say in your daily life when talking about it? And so with that, oh, excuse me, I need some water. So with that, I want you to watch the language, but also now we're going to reframe it. So we're going to reframe it with affirmations. And the affirmations that you can use are, the affirmations you can use are, I experience anxiety. It is not mine. It is safe to cry. Like, I used to have panic attacks about crying. Like, I used to literally have an anxiety attack because I didn't want to cry in front of people. So if you look at what you're so scared of, what are you so afraid to do? What about your anxiety? What about see, I just slipped up there. What about the anxiety is hard for you to handle, hard for you to experience? Is it the panic attack? Is it people seeing you? Is it feeling overwhelmed? Is it the breathing? And then we can create affirmations around that. So you can let me know in the comments, or you can DM me on Instagram what those things are for you if you're having a hard time, and then I can help you create affirmations around that. And in the course, in the Empowered Anxiety course, there's I think 21 or 22 affirmations that you listen to every single day. So that's a part of that. And it's just like an affirmation recording. And it's basically just, you're just reprogramming your brain over and over again. And those affirmations work because now this is the second piece, is you're creating new neural pathways in your brain. So what happens is, say you have a forest, right? And one part of the forest is all overgrown and crazy, and the other one is, like, you look to your left, there's overgrown. You look to your right, there's a clean path, a clean hiking trail. That clean hiking trail is only clean because people are constantly walking on it. So it translates to your brain in the sense where that is a thought or a belief that's thought of over and over and over and over again. And when you go down that road, it's easy to go down that road, right? It's already paved. And so a new neural pathway is you choosing to go down the path less walked, right? The path less followed. That's you choosing to go into the overgrown part of the forest and create your own path. And then tomorrow to come back and do it again. And then the next day to come back and do it again. And so that's how you create the new neural pathway, is you just keep choosing that belief over and over again until it's the new default. That's how affirmations work. And that's how people may think that affirmations don't work for anxiety, but they really do help. It's just that it takes longer. And so the whole thing with this is, like, we're playing the long game right now. I gave you some quick things that are going to help you while you experience anxiety, while you're diving deep. I gave you some quick things yesterday, like the box breathing, and I forgot what else I gave you yesterday, but the box breathing was one of them. And so now we have to get into the long game. So you need those quick tools to help you for when you need it right now. But, like, this is the stuff that's going to help you to fully just let this shit go in the future and seriously reduce your levels of anxiety on a day-to-day basis. And every time you go through one of these things, every time you go through some kind of shadow work process, you're going to uncover new things, and it's going to just keep accelerating the process. And while you may feel like you're going backwards when you're doing shadow work because you're going to such a dark place of looking and dealing with things that you don't want to look at and deal with, you may feel like you're not making progress, but the next day or within the next few days, you're going to feel that release. You're going to feel the relief and the release, because physically you're now releasing those emotions. There is literally a system within us where our cells, here's the thing. We're going to go over unprocessed emotions really quick. when you're young, right, until the age of 7, your subconscious mind is in the driver's seat. So what happens is when we're adults, our conscious mind is awake during the day. And as we go to sleep, our conscious brain goes to sleep, the ego goes to sleep, and our subconscious brain comes alive, right? And so that's why a lot of people say not to watch TV, like leave the TV on while you're sleeping, because your subconscious brain is active. And if something comes on the TV, then you're going to subconsciously pick up on it, right? And so when you're a kid, that's happening all the time. And what happens with the subconscious brain is it's a literal sponge. So it takes every single thing as truth. And that's why kids are like sponges, right? That's why kids pick up on shit so easily. That's why kids can learn so many different languages really quickly, because their subconscious brain is in the driver's seat. And so when we are kids, that's how everything that's happening around us is truth. And so whether your good experiences, bad experiences, scary experiences, sad experiences, they're all truth. You don't have the consciousness at that point in time to discern, like, oh, that person is projecting onto me, or oh, that person is going through their own shit. It's this is my fault. This is me. I did this, or I'm actually ugly, or I'm actually fat, or I'm, whatever is being told to you is truth. And what happens is when you're a child, you don't have the capacity to process it emotionally. And so what your body does is it says, your body and your brain talk to each other and they say, right, well, you can't process this right now. We're going to protect you and we're going to just push it down. Pushing it down is actually pushing it into your cells. So I am telling you right now that there is unprocessed emotions that literally live in your cells. This is how connected the mental and the physical are. And so mind and body are completely in conjunction with one another. And so when that gets pushed down, and when you have a shadow work session, like I just said, where it gets released, you may feel less bloated the next day. You may lose some weight right away. I remember I had a really, really, really intense emotional session with one of my coaches one time, and we did hypnotherapy, and I released so much, and it was really heavy, and I was crying a lot, and she was like, let me know how you're feeling tomorrow and whatever. And the next day I looked in the mirror and like my stomach was so flat, and it was because I had released those emotions. I had released so much that was living in my cells, and I literally felt light. Like I actually felt lighter. And once you start experiencing these things, it makes the process not easier to do, but like more desirable. Like you want to do it because you know what comes next, and that feeling is like actually euphoric. So when you do shadow work, there's some things that I want you to, and I'm going to touch on when you do shadow work, to like when you sit down and you're like, okay, I have something to work through right now, and you choose to do shadow work. And I'm also going to touch on when something comes up in the moment, how you can kind of work through that, even if you don't have your journal and you're not like sitting down to do shadow work. And then I'm going to give you a few tips along the way. And that's going to be the remainder of today. So shadow work is, your shadow is the parts of you that you don't like to look at. So it could be some habits that you've picked up on that you're not happy about. It could be some things that you don't like about yourself. Like, have you ever, and again, Allow me to ask you this question. Have you ever sat with yourself? And this is going to be really hard for the people with high functioning anxiety, because this is the main downfall of the people with high functioning anxiety, because you don't stop long enough to let yourself sit with yourself. Sit with yourself. And David Goggins talks about this, right? And he doesn't talk about it with anxiety, but he does talk about it. He doesn't say shadow work, but like he's talking about the same thing. Sit with yourself and look at all of the parts of yourself that you don't like. If you're there, if you're able to do this, and if you're not able to do this, that's okay. Get a coach, get a therapist, get someone who can help you and walk you through it in a controlled environment. Sit with yourself and think of, what am I unhappy with? What do I not like? And I want to remind you that before you do that, we're going to take full responsibility for how we're feeling. There may be events, experiences, people who were involved in us feeling this way, but ultimately we are responsible for how we feel and how we live this life and how we be and what we do. And so I want you to have this radical sense of self-responsibility throughout this process. I know that as we're starting to become more aware of the ego, that is hard. It's hard for me now after years and years of looking at my ego with a microscope. It's still hard in a heated moment, in whatever. It happened to me last night. My ego got out of control, and then you have to reel it back in, and it'll happen forever. It will. But the most important part is your intentions and how you bounce back from it and how you learn from it for next time. And so this process is not easy, but I want you to think of what those things are. What do you not like about yourself? How did it get that way? What, like, were you always so calm and now you're really high strung? And what changed? And is it the family? Is it that you have kids and you're always running around? Is it, maybe you lose your temper on your kids every once in a while and you wish you weren't like that? Or maybe you're always stressed out from work and you wish you weren't like that. And you're like, oh, I was always so carefree, but then you become an adult, and like, that shit is all bullshit beliefs. Those things are things that society feeds us for us to think that there's no way out, for us to forget our power. And it's not the case. I'm telling you right now, it is not the case. Whatever you are making an excuse for in your head right now, like, oh, I'm not happy with my weight, or I'm not happy with my body, and it's because I've gotten overweight, and it's because I've been working so much, and it's because I allowed myself to get stressed out, and it's because I like cookies, and it's because of this and because of that. Those are excuses, and that's just some tough love for you. Somebody has to say it, and I will be the one to do it, because the tough love is how you realize how you're not taking responsibility for yourself, and it's also how you set yourself free. So if this comes off a little bit harsh, I'm okay with that. You need to hear it so that you can set yourself free. I would rather be the one to deliver some harsh news and know that it's going to change this experience for you and help you to move forward and set yourself free ultimately. So I want you to notice that every time you say, I feel like, or it's because, pay close attention to the words that come afterwards. Pay close attention, because that's going to show you a surefire way to your beliefs, to the brain, to what you think is what you ultimately believe right now, limiting beliefs, whatever it is. And that's going to help you to see what you believe right now and be like, okay, this makes sense. And I can choose something else. This makes sense for my past. This makes sense because of these events that ensued. This makes sense because of this toxic person that was in my life. Not toxic. Nobody's toxic. There's just toxic behavior. And I'm not even going to go into that. I shouldn't have said toxic person. This makes sense because of this experience I had with this person. This makes sense. This makes sense. This makes sense. And I'm choosing this instead. And I'm choosing this new path that I'm going to forage. And I can move forward. Right? So that's what shadow work is ultimately. And you can do it through journaling. You can honestly just like sit with yourself and be like, this is like what I'm doing. And I want to just sit and feel for a little while. You can absolutely do that. And I'm going to put some journal prompts down in the description so that you have something to work with for homework, because I want you to dive into this a little bit if you're feeling up to it. And if not, that's okay. That's okay. But I also do want you to notice if you're really not feeling up to it because of something that you would like to go over with a trained professional, or is your ego holding you back? What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid of diving deep? Is it because you don't feel safe? Or is it because you just don't want to bring those icky memories or those icky emotions or those just really hard to deal with experiences back up? Because the way that we heal is by bringing it back up so that we can process it. And that's another reason why triggers, i.e. anxiety attack, is a really powerful route in which to heal. Because once we start realizing that anxiety covers up a bigger fear or a bigger behavior or a bigger emotional event, then you realize every time you get anxiety, once you've weeded out all the things from day 1 and 2, you realize that, oh shit, anxiety's coming up. What do I have to work through right now? That's the beauty. That's the aha moment that I want you to have, that I want you to realize, like, you get anxiety, and instead of saying, oh my God, my anxiety's coming, oh my God, it's like, oh, I have anxiety right now. What's that about? It's a way different response. And I'm sure you're picking up on that now. It's a totally different response. And it's approaching it with curiosity. And that leads me to my next point, is that in the moment, when you don't have your journal, when you don't have all these things to work with, that's how you can approach it. That's how you reason with yourself, right? That's how you reason with your brain. You bring yourself down. You're like, I'm experiencing anxiety right now. What's that about? You can just ask, and you like ask yourself, ask out loud, ask the universe, God, whoever you talk to, including yourself, you ask that. And then it's like, what's that about? I am open and willing to receive guidance. I am open and willing to receive clarity. I am open to creative solutions. What needs to occur for me to understand this anxiety better? These are the things you can say out loud. These are the things you can write in your journal before you go to sleep. And just let your subconscious go to work on it. You don't have to have all the answers. You have a spirit team. You have God, you have, even if you don't believe in any of these things, you have something deep within you, your soul, your essence, your being, you have the answers. You just forgot how to tap into them. So you ask yourself those questions and then you let it go. You go and you do something else, and the answers will come. The answers will come. The answers will come either during meditation or while you're journaling, or you'll be doing something and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my God, this is what that was about. And I've had those aha moments, and I know you may not think that they happen, but they absolutely do. If you follow what I'm saying, where you ask those really quality questions and you don't put pressure on yourself to answer them right now, you put the anxiety into perspective right away. It's, oh, this is covering something else up. And you know what? Like, this anxiety isn't mine to hold, and I'm going to release it. If the panic attack or the anxiety attack is so heavy that you actually have to move through it physically, allow yourself to do that. Absolutely. And then move on. And it's as simple as that. We are overcomplicating anxiety, and I overcomplicated it for 25 fucking years of my life, and I'm 29 this year. So my entire life I overcomplicated anxiety, and you may think that I'm just like a crazy person because I'm saying that it's easy. It's simple. It's not easy. It's very simple. It's ask the quality questions, move through the attack, allow yourself to feel. We walk through life like robots. Society puts us into roles like robots, and then we wonder why we're so afraid to feel. Why are we afraid to feel, especially the bad things? And sometimes the good things. If you suppress the bad things long enough, you won't even want to feel the good things. And then you won't feel it all. It's all about feeling, being in your body, allowing, releasing control. Releasing control will set you free. Surrender will set you free. One of the last point I want to give you is a really, really, really powerful tool. It kind of, if you've ever seen Inception, it's what he does when he goes into like the dream world, and he has that like that little, like they all have that little like knickknack that they carry in their pocket or whatever. It's called placing. So when you have an anxiety attack or a panic attack, or you get really stressed out, your brain doesn't know that you're not in fight or flight mode. So like if you're in fight or flight mode, your brain doesn't know that like you're actually in a safe environment. So what happens is you need to have certain things, physical things that you can place to be like, okay, I am here. I am here, and I am in control of this situation or energy or me. I'm in control of my own body, whatever it is. Like, I'm here right now. And so it's called placing, and it's like, look at certain things in the room that are like stationary. I'm like looking around. So like I'm in the parking lot of a park right now. So like I would look at a tree, I would look at a pole, there's a basketball hoop. Like, look at these things that are stationary, not moving, not part of the situation. And that's how you place. And so you could even go further to have like a rock, or like some people like to have crystals, like carry crystals in their pocket. I play with my necklace. I know that like this is always on me. Certain things you can use to place, bring yourself back down to earth. It helps to ground you. It helps to calm yourself. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And then you can maybe ask those curious questions, or at the very least, you just bring yourself kind of like back down to earth. So that's all I have for you today. let me know in the comments if you've ever tried any of these things, if you have any questions at all, what you're going to use to place. I would advise you to get something that you can carry around in your pocket all the time. It's really going to help with that, with activating that parasympathetic nervous system and remembering that you're here. So like if you have a lot of panic attacks, that's going to help you to just remember either what I'm saying to you right now, or also to just remember that like you're here, your feet are on the ground, you're here, bring you back down to earth, out of your head into the body. Carry around a crystal. Let me know what your placing item is going to be. Let me know any questions you have at all. And tomorrow on day 4, we're going to talk more about high functioning anxiety and actually learning how to slow yourself down. So today we talked about going deep and sitting with those emotions. And tomorrow I want to talk about even getting to that place if you experience high functioning anxiety. Yeah, I'm super excited to do day 4 with you, and I'll see you tomorrow.